Hi and welcome to Online Appliance Tech. Today we're going to show you how to replace the drain pump on the Samsung front load washer. So if you have a 5C or SC error code, this video is for you. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you unplug it, then you'll remove the two Phillips screws in the back. So once you have the two screws removed, you'll just press the panel back and just pull the panel straight up. And then just put it somewhere safe, and then you'll remove the dispenser. You have a little button here that you press down and pull out to remove. Then you'll remove these total of 6 screws. This holds the display panel to the front, so you'll remove all these. So to remove this panel, you will have to push this dispenser back. There's one screw there that has to be removed before you push it back. So like I said, you do have to press back this dispenser housing to remove the panel. See, now it's not coming off. And if we press back completely, then this display panel will come right off. However, before removing the display panel, you do have to disconnect the wiring harness or coax, whatever you want to really call it, before you remove the panel. So we should have done this before we started, but here it is. Sometimes you have 2 to 3, so don't yank on the wiring. Just there's a little clip that you have to press down with your finger, then pull the harness apart, but never pull from the wiring, because you can pull the wiring out of the harness itself, and then you'll have like a shortage. So now, having the harness removed, just pull the display right off and put it somewhere safe. And now I'm going to show you how to remove the gasket. You'll take a flathead, and there's a piece of wire, or a wire ring, I guess you would call it, that's clipped in to hose the front gasket to the front door. So you just press in and pull out, and just gently pry it out, and it'll just come right off. Then you want to press this gasket in the inner lip, or the inner frame of the front of the washer, because if you yank on the door or try to remove it with that connected, you could rip the gasket itself. So just make sure you put it all in there. So up next, we're going to remove the door switch. So there's a total of 3 Phillips screws, so just remove these 3. We have to do this before we remove the top part of the door. Then you'll just press the door switch inside the front frame itself. This way it doesn't hold on to nothing. So just press that in and let it hang. So to remove the door, we have to remove these 4 screws at the top. But however, you have a couple at the bottom that you do have to remove first. There's one here on the right, and I believe there's 2 in the middle, and there should be only 1 on the far left. Just definitely take a good glance, because sometimes they put more than 1 and the front door will not come off, so you'll sit there and yank on it a little bit. So hopefully this visual helps you out a lot. So here's the 1 screw there, and then there's usually 2 here. So now, since I got the bottom screws out, I'm going to remove the top panel. There's a total of 4 screws, I believe. I already removed that one. And then I'll just go down the path and remove the rest. There's the other one. Then you have the 2 more. They should have like some type of clip that holds the door into place, that once you remove all the screws, it won't fall forward. You have to kind of press it down with a flathead. And it's right here. There's one on the other side sometimes. There it is. And then you'll have to disconnect the door switch before you remove the door also. And on some of these units, you have a recirculation or pump that you will have to remove this hose. So just pull it out of the front housing of the door itself. And once you got that off, you'll just pull the door straight up and put it somewhere safe. So before removing the filter cap, definitely make sure you drain the water out this tube into like a bucket. If not, water will go out everywhere. So drain the water out this tube before you remove the filter cap. You have to remove the 2 Phillips screws that connect the pump to the lower housing of the unit itself. So there's 2 Phillips screws there, and then once this is removed, you can kind of pull the pump back, and then you'll disconnect the harness. Sometimes you have a cover, just flip that off, and this is very important. You have 2 wires here. You'll have your blue on your left and your black on your right, or blue on your right, or vice versa. Make sure you take a picture and connect them the same way you took them off. Don't cross the wiring. So very important. So this is our new pump, so we'll get this out and inspect it and make sure everything's matches before we move forward with the job. So this looks correct, so now we can move forward and just go ahead and pull these harnesses off the pump itself. Just don't yank with the wire, just yank with the harness connector itself. So now we're going to remove the pump. You have 3 Phillips screws that you have to remove. There's one on the upper right, one on the upper left, and one at the bottom of the pump. So this is why you definitely need to make sure there's no water in the tub before you remove this pump. If not, water will go everywhere, so make sure you remove the water into a bucket using the black drain tube before starting the repair. So my flashlight stopped working, so I'm going to use my phone, but let me take a picture so I can show you exactly where this last screw is. So yeah, it's right here in the upper left. So you can turn the pump sideways and get enough room in there to get an angle to remove that Phillips screw. So now having all the Phillips screws removed, we'll just pull the pump straight off. You may have a little water, so don't be too worried about that. But then you'll see sometimes you have like some gunk in there, so make sure you clean the inside of where the new pump will align with the housing. So this is the little clip here that has to be aligned with that clip, and then the gasket will go into the inner rim, which you make sure you clean with a cloth, and it has to be completely compressed against the drain pump housing. If not, you will have a nice leak. So here's a picture of the bottom left of where all the screws go once more. But just make sure everything's nice and flush. Definitely use a good flashlight. Last thing you want is a leak. So take your time. And here's another tip. Once you have everything put back together, like the cap that goes into the filter housing, and then the little tube cover that goes on the bottom of the black tube, everything. I guess what I'm saying, once you have everything together, I would recommend pulling like half a gallon of water inside the tub and make sure you have no leaks, because the last thing you want to do too is put everything back together and notice you have a leak and have to take everything apart again. And as you can see here, I'm using a Phillips. I'm not using a drill to tighten this up. If you use a high power drill, you will strip out the drain pump housing, and this new pump will not stay onto the housing itself. So there's a couple mistakes that I see a lot that even I see techs do. So just recommend that. So now I'm going to reconnect the wiring harness, and this is what I stated earlier. Make sure you put it on the same way you took it off. If not, you can mess up the wiring. So I have my blue on my left and my black on my right. And then this cover, you can just clip that back on top. Just press it down, and then you'll slide your pump through and line it up with the 2 holes at the bottom housing of the washer itself. As you can see, you have 2 little holes. Once you have them aligned, then you'll reinstall the 2 Phillips screws that holds the drain pump to the lower housing of the washer. So here's a better view of the holes that connect to the bottom part of the door that you have to remove before you remove the lower door. And sometimes they get a little rusty if they have a little leak. So to reinstall the door, you'll just line this door up with the 3 lower clips, and it'll go into the lower part of the door, as you can see there. And just make sure everything's out of the way. You will have to press this tube in back to the door before you shut the door completely. So just go ahead and do that, and do not forget to connect your door switch also. So regarding the door switch, you definitely have to put it inside the front housing of the door before you press back the front door itself. So I like to line it up, and then I'll have the 2 screws at least that goes to this door switch. This way I can hand tighten it before I press the door back. That way it doesn't fall and then messes it up where I can't shut the door itself. Or another way you can do it, you can hold the door switch into the frame or the inner gasket. You can't see it now in my left hand, but I'm holding it through there to hold in the door switch flush as I press the door back, and then I can take the Phillips screws and just hand tighten them in to hold the door switch in place. So now before pressing the door completely back, I'm just going to take this gasket and pull it out. Be careful because this inner rim is sharp and can easily cut you, so just be careful or wear some gloves. But pull this out, and then once you have this all out, then you can press the door completely back, and then it should lock into those top clips. Or if you like, you can go ahead and put it on before pressing the door back. I was kind of in the moment and I've done many, so I just went ahead and put it on. You have a little over lip, I guess, on the front frame of the washer that you have to pull the gasket on, or over top of that to clip it in. You have 2, or not 2, but grooves. So just pull the gasket out and overlip the front door. Or you can just, like I stated, you can just press the door back and put your 4 Phillips in the top of the door to hold the front. But as you can see here, this is completely aligned. Now we have a spring here that I have a little trick that, well, I don't know if you want to call it a trick, but the way I do it is very easy. Just put the spring on, and then you're going to take a needle nose, and you have a little hole there on the right hand side. You'll press this through and then press it against the front housing of the washer. That way it doesn't slip out. And then you'll take your Phillips, or not Phillips, but your flathead, and you'll kind of press it. You'll press it into the upper of the spring, and then you'll meet together. So you'll press both of them together, and then it'll just clip right in. And just make sure you check and make sure there's no type of mess ups there. And now you'll reinstall the 4 Phillips screws on the top. And this is what you could have done before you did the whole gasket job, but I just went ahead and done that first. Now we're going to reinstall the front display panel. Make sure the dispenser housing is back. Push your harnesses in first, and then pull this back, and then it just should click right into place. Can't mess that up. And then press down and press back, and there we go. And then once you have that in, you'll push the front display in, or hold it as you align the dispenser in with the front of the display, if that makes sense. My terminology is sometimes not the best, but there we go. Just make sure that screw's aligned. That way, if you see the screws line up correctly, you know you're in correctly. So now, since we have everything aligned, we're going to go ahead and install the Phillips screws that holds everything into place. And then just make sure you connect the harnesses. Make sure you put the cap in front of back into the water housing itself, and then the little cap that goes to the end of the black tube. And go ahead and give it a run. I hope this video was helpful, and please like and subscribe for more future tips and videos. Have a good day.